I am Dana McCauley, and today we're going to talk about a growing health food trend, turmeric. Now, for those of you who like to cook, you know that turmeric is one of the main spices in curry paste and curry powder, and you know that when it's ground up, it's very bright yellow and has sort of an earthy flavor that gives a really nice foundation to the flavor of many, many curry dishes. But you may not know that for over 5,000 years, turmeric has had a really prominent place in Ayurvedic medicine as a healing ingredient. So now that awareness of turmeric is starting to bubble over into the Western world, and in 2013, sales of supplements that contain turmeric as an active and prominent ingredient rose 26%.
Turmeric was originally cultivated in the Old World tropics, but now thrives in other tropical regions around the world. Turmeric has a long history of being used for both food and medicine. It has been a major herb in Ayurvedic medicine for nearly 6,000 years. It has been used to purify the blood and to treat a number of illnesses such as indigestion, liver and gallbladder diseases, arthritis, and rheumatism, as well as colds and flu. Raw turmeric applied to the skin is effective in treating inflammations, infections, bruises, and sprains. Since the discovery of turmeric's antioxidant phenolic compounds and the protection that these compounds provide against free radicals, this spice is now viewed as much more than just a food colorant or yellow dye. Turmeric's potential use in cancer prevention and the treatment of HIV infections is now the subject of intense laboratory and clinical research.
According to the World Health Organization, 80% of the Earth's inhabitants rely upon traditional medicines for their primary healthcare needs, in part due to the high cost of Western pharmaceuticals. Medicines derived from plants have played a pivotal role in the healthcare of both ancient and modern cultures. One of the prime sources of plant-derived medicines is spices. Turmeric is one such spice, known around the world by different names, my favorite of which is probably Zard Chubag. Turmeric is the dried powdered rootstocks of the turmeric plant, a member of the ginger family, from which the orange-yellow pigment curcumin can be extracted. The spice turmeric is what makes curry powder yellow, and curcumin is what makes turmeric yellow. This landmark study, comparing the ability of different spices to suppress inflammation, also compared their ability to protect DNA. Cloves, ginger, rosemary, and turmeric were able to significantly stifle the inflammatory response, but what about DNA protection? If you take a tissue sample from some random person, around 7% of their cells may show evidence of DNA damage, actual breaks in the strands of their DNA. And if you blast those cells with free radicals, you can bring that number up to 10%. But if the person had been eating ginger for a week, that drops to just 8%. This is from a tissue sample taken from someone who hadn't been eating any herbs and spices, and as a result their cells were vulnerable to DNA damage from oxidative stress. But just including ginger in our diet may cut that damage 25%, and same with rosemary. But check out turmeric. DNA damage cut in half. Again, this is not just mixing turmeric with cells in some petri dish. This is comparing what happens when you expose the cells of spice eaters versus the cells of non-spice eaters to free radicals and just sit back and count DNA fracture rates. And not only did the turmeric work significantly better, but a significantly smaller dose. This is comparing about 1 1/3 teaspoons a day of ginger or rosemary to practically just a pinch of turmeric, about 1/8 of a teaspoon a day. That's how powerful the stuff is. So I encourage everyone to cook with this wonderful spice. Tastes great and may protect our cells in our body, with or without the added stress. If you just count DNA breaks in people's cells before and after a week of spices without the free radical blast, we see no significant intrinsic protection in the ginger or rosemary groups. But the turmeric group still appeared to reduce DNA damage by half.